Hello students, by far we have already studied about Coulomb's law and the forces between the two charges, whether positive or negative. Now in this lecture we are going to deal with the fields, electric charges having fields around it. So now you already know, here you can see we have an electric field for a positive charge, and we have already studied the basic of it, that a positive charge will always have a force away, a field away from it in all the directions. So you can see there is a charge plus q having all the fields radially outwards, and there is also a small charge q naught where we call it as a test charge. A test charge experiencing a force acted upon by the source charge, which is a bigger charge. You already know the concept of source charge and a test charge. Now, there's an assumption we always make, which is practically impossible, where a test charge will have no electric field. In fact, it has an electric field, but we consider it has no electric field because it is infinitesimally small, and we consider it as negligible. Now we're going to see electric charges creates an electric field in space, which actually affects the test charge. So, for example, if we have a source charge which is bigger in value, we already know that it is bigger in value, but we don't know whether it is positive or negative charge. So what are we going to do is we are going to take a test charge and put it in the proximity of a source charge. If the source charge is getting repelled away, you know what type of charge the source charge will be, and if it is attracted, definitely it will be a positive charge. Assuming the fact that a test charge is always going to be positive in nature. Remember that there is no restriction on whether you take test charge as positive or negative, but for our simplicity we always take it as positive. Even the source charge is taken as positive, you can take it as negative as well for any explanation. Now here if you see q naught as test charge is very small, does not create an electric field. This is what we are assuming in the complete chapter. Whereas now we are going to see intensity of a field due to a point charge. Now what do we mean by intensity of field? This you already know, a magnet having its own magnetic field, but its intensity varies according to the you can say the distance between the other particles around it. So suppose if we have a point charge as plus q, remember it is a point charge as plus q, and there is a source charge as q naught. Note that we always make it as q naught for a source charge. Now there is a force acting on a source charge which is away. So basically both of them, a source charge and a test charge, are positive in nature, and we have an electric field over there of a source charge. Remember that test charge we don't consider any electric field. So how do we calculate an electric field for a source charge? So the formula will be force on test charge over test charge value. So the force on test charge is F vector divided by the value of the test charge, which is we here take it as q naught, because right now we don't have any value, we are not using any numerical value. So the final formula for an electric field of a source charge will be equal to the force acting on the test charge divided by the test charge itself. Now if you see, the force acting on the test charge is q naught over r squared divided by q naught. Now how this comes from? The force on test charge is basically by Coulomb's law. If you remember, it is k multiplied by product of two charges, which is q and q naught, divided by r square, which is the distance between the two charges, and upon the test charge, which is q naught itself. Now q naught gets stripped out, and left out will be kq divided by r square. And if you see mathematically, if r is infinity, here it is in the box you can see r is infinity, it means the electric field will be zero, which is practically not possible, because when there is an we keep an test charge at infinity from a source charge, the electric field acting on it, definitely will it be zero, but still the test charge is going to move. Now here we see SI unit is Newton per Coulomb, and that comes from the formula itself. Electric field is force upon the test charge, which is is in Newton always, and test charge is in coulombs, so it becomes Newton per Coulomb. Now we are going to see electric field in a vector form. As of we have already discussed Coulomb's law in Cartesian as well as in vector form. Similarly, we are going to study electric field in vector form. Remember that electric field is a vector quantity, or as we already know about scalar and vector. So electric field is a vector quantity, and we are going to discuss this in vector form. So here we are going to consider a charge again, which is positive in nature, and we have a point charge at a distance r from it. And you already know electric field formula is kq over r square. This is a minute difference between the Coulomb's law formula and electric field formula. There in Coulomb's law it is k product of q and then r square. Here we have only kq upon r square. Now looking at its vector form, it becomes kq over r square, and r cap, that is in vector format. And we already know r cap is equal to r vector over mod of r. This is a unit vector conversion. So if we see, we are going to substitute r cap value as r vector over mod of r in the first equation. So it becomes kq upon r square, that is mod of r square, multiplied by r vector into mod of over mod of r. This comes from here. Now so finally it becomes kq over mod of r the whole cube and r vector. So this is the final formula for electric field in the vector format. Always put the value of k as positive, but when you work it out in the vector form, if the question is in vector form, put it as negative only if it has been asked as in a vector form, and you put the k as negative only when there is a negative charge taken as a source charge. So basically I mean, even if you are in Cartesian format, whether it is positive or negative, take the value of k as positive only. But if you are in vector format, take the value of k as positive if you have taken positive charge, and negative if you have taken negative charge, in vector form only, because we are going to take the direction or the quantity of charge where the value of k will be 9 multiplied by 10 raised to 9, and rest you know about positive and negative. Now till now we have only studied electric field due to a point charge. There will be only one charge, whether positive or negative. But when we deal with an electric field due to different system of charges, or we can say many number of charges, we need to apply a principle of superposition, which we have already discussed it in the last videos. I'll be giving you a link on the iCard. You can have a view on the video for principle of superposition. Now if you see, if there are three charges, two positive and one negative, is q1, q2 and q3, acting on a source charge capital Q. So all the three charges will have an impact on the test charge. So the first electric field will be for q1 acting on the capital Q will be E1 vector. For q2 acting on capital Q will be E2. Now here the direction is to be noted. it is going towards the negative, because we already know that electric field for the negative charge will be towards its center, and for the third charge, which is again positive, will be away, so it becomes E3 vector. So if you want to calculate the total net electric field on the capital Q, that is the source charge, the formula will be E naught. Now why am I using E naught? Again, it is just because we consider a test charge as a small charge, and we consider it as E naught, and which is equal to E1 vector plus E2 vector plus E3 vector for all the electric field. You already know the formula for electric field, that is KQ upon R square. So for each electric field, each charges, it will be KQ1 plus upon R square plus KQ2 upon R square plus KQ3 upon R square. Do not forget to put the vector sign onto it, because we are dealing with the directions as well. And if you want to calculate the net force acting on the test charge because of all the source charges, the formula will become KQ1 multiplied by capital Q over R square, KQ2 multiplied by capital Q over R square plus KQ3 multiplied by capital Q over R square. Remember, the net force formula is from Coulomb's law. If you look into it, you find that it is just a Coulomb law, product of two charges. Now moving on to the next numerical. If we have two charges, which is one is positive, the magnitude is plus 1 microcoulomb, the other one is minus 2 microcoulomb. Remember, micro means 10 over minus 6, coulomb is the unit for charge. There is a point charge P in exactly in between them. They have a distance of 2 centimeters, and if you see, there is a point charge having an electric field E1 because of a positive charge, and you know that the electric field will be moving away from the positive charge, and for E2 as well, it will be moving towards the negative charge. That is, because of the negative charge, the electric field generated will be towards it, and since it is exactly placed in between, the distance between point charge and any of the charge will be 1 centimeter each. And you already know the formula for net electric field, which is E1 vector plus E2 vector. Substituting the formula, it becomes KQ1 over R square plus KQ2 over R square. So you know, you can take K and K over R square as common, because the value of K and R is same for both of them. Left out is Q1 plus Q2, because the value of Q1 and Q2 are different. The value of K is 9 into 10 raised to 9 upon 1 multiplied by 10 raised to minus 2 the whole square. Why am I doing this? Because R is in centimeters, you need to convert it in standard international unit, that is meters. So it becomes 10 raised to minus 2, and since there is a square, I am taking 10 raised to minus 2 the whole square. Now substituting the value of Q1 and Q2, it becomes 10 raised to minus 6. So basically it is 1 into 10 raised to minus 6 for Q1. I am substituting it as only 10 raised to minus 6, plus the value of Q2 is 2 into 10 raised to minus 6. Now doing the calculation, we get 9 into 10 raised to 9 multiplied by 3 into 10 raised to minus 6, because it is 1 and 1, you take 10 raised to minus 6 as common, 1 plus 2 becomes 3. And now do all the calculation for the multipliers. So it becomes 9 multiplied by 3 is 27, and 10 power 9 and 10 power minus 6 become 10 raised to 3. You take the denominator in the numerator, it becomes 10 raised to 4, because it was in the denominator is minus 4. When you take it in numerator, it becomes plus 4. The left out will be 27 multiplied by 10 raised to 7 Newton per Coulomb. So you can also write it in any format.